Hello, everybody. This is Brian Perry with Perry Home Solutions of Keller Williams Realty with our newest vendor spotlight. I want to welcome Sean Moore with Merit Financial Advisors. Welcome, Sean.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me here. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. So, Sean, I've actually known him now for a couple of years, and we've talked a lot about what he's done, and I wanted to bring it to kind of our little world so everybody can hear about it, because I think he provides a really great service. So, Sean, would you mind telling us what it is that you do?
Sure. Well, I'm a financial advisor. I'm a certified financial planner. And as you mentioned, I'm with Merit Financial Advisors. So you started to ask right before we recorded, are we national? And
Is it national?
Yeah, the answer is yes. We are quickly becoming a national firm. So we are headquartered in Alpharetta, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. And we have 3 offices here in South Florida. So right next door, is our office.
Yeah,
here.
quite convenient, by the way.
Yeah, literally the next building over in Boynton Beach. We also have an office in Boca. And then for people a little further north, we have a Jupiter office as well.
Oh, great.
There's another one further up the way in Jacksonville, but it's a little far.
Yeah.
But we do have a national footprint. We actually have offices all the way out in Washington, and then we have offices all the way at the East Coast. So we've got about 25 locations now around the country.
Okay.
But we've got a pretty nice footprint here in South Florida.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're obviously in the financial advisory business. Tell us about that. Tell us about the services that you provide to your clientele.
So we're a full service firm, but I would think that the most important word I would use for a lot of what we do is transition. So a lot of what we're dealing with is clients in transition. So what does that mean? A lot of here in South Florida, a lot of people are transitioning down from the northern states. So
we got quite a bit of that.
Moving into town or transitioning from being a working person into retirement. Some families are buying or selling, homes, and so a big part of our goal is to come alongside of people and help them make wise decisions for the next phase of their life, whether that's putting their kids to college or stepping into retirement, buying a home, upsizing, downsizing, what have you.
Who, if I'm in a position where I'm considering availing myself of your services, what criteria would I consider to decide if I should come to you and say, hey, listen, I need help?
Yeah. I think that's a good question. So the answer would have been, again, kind of falling back to transition. We're here to help anybody. So if you have a question, I would say reach out and see if we can help you again, whether that's, putting kids through college or what have you. The reality of the situation is our core focus, especially in my practice, is people either pre-retirees or retirees, and then people in transition of whether it's business owners looking to exit or sell their business. We have a number of certified business owner exit.
Oh, fascinating. I didn't know about that
specialists. So pre-retirees, retirees, business owners, and then people looking to make a change. One of the neat things we've developed or taken on in the last couple of years is the use of technology. And through technology, we have some really neat programs. We actually have an investment program that we can use that helps build up tax credits to offset capital gains. So if you have somebody that's selling a business or selling a rental property or some type of low basis stock where they have this asset, but they're not able to sell it or they're afraid to sell it because of a huge tax hit, we have a program that will build up tax credits and then allow you to unload or sell that property, be able to diversify or take the next step in your life without having to pay the tax man this huge hit.
That's great.
And another component is people retiring, right? Understanding how the transition is going to happen from working to retirement or then from retirement to the next step, which is passing their wealth down to the next generation. And so, how do we make sure that your estate plan is in order and working with your attorney and your accountant, your real estate professionals to make sure the house transitions to the children if you want it and the assets that you've accumulated, that they go through to the next generation. A, how you want it to happen, and B, with the least amount of inefficiency and headache.
Yeah,
we can't take that. If we lose a client, we can't take away the hurt, but at least we can make things easier for the family.
And we all know that can be a very difficult scenario.
Yeah. So
if it's not planned for correctly, right?
Exactly right. And so we want to come in and come alongside of our clients and work along with their other advisors, whether it's their attorney and their accountant and what have you, to make sure, things are planned for ahead of time. We check those boxes and dot those I's before something happens rather than after the fact.
That's great. Sean, you were telling me about portfolio loans and the advantage with your company. Can you explain that, please?
Yeah. So we have approximately $12 billion under management, and we've gone out to the custodians where we hold money and been able to throw our weight around on behalf of our clients. And so what that means is if a client comes to us and needs to borrow money against their portfolio, whether it's to purchase an investment property or a lake house or a boat or an airplane or what have you, it doesn't really matter the reason for the loan. But if they go to take a loan, we've negotiated some of the lowest lending rates in the country. So if you go to Charles Schwab or Fidelity or what have you, and they want to take a loan against your portfolio, they're going to charge you somewhere in the neighborhood of 11 to 12%. And because we've gone in and thrown our weight around and negotiated those rates down on our clients' behalf, the rates are effectively about half of that. And so
so in like the 5-6% ish range, roughly.
Yeah, it's a function of the federal funds rate. And so we have the federal fund rate plus a small spread. And that's not a spread that we make, but actually the custodians themselves. There's no profit in it for us. It's just a service for our clients.
That's great.
But so when rates 2 years ago, when rates were zero, we had clients that were borrowing at 1% or less.
That's amazing.
And now as rates have gone up and the Fed funds rate is about 5.5, the borrowing cost is right around 6. But that's a dramatic difference from if you just go out on the retail space and you're borrowing at 10 or 12 or 15. So it's a very neat option that we have for our clients. And again, some people are using it to do boats or cars. A lot of people are doing it for investment properties. They go out and buy a second home. The rate that they're getting.
That's going to be below market mortgage rates.
Yes, we actually have a client that's buying a home in Saratoga Springs as we speak, and he shopped at the mortgage rates, and he ended up doing this for that reason. Now he can always take a mortgage in the future, if or when rates tick down. But in the short term, he's got this portfolio. We've got the rates that we can get him, and it makes it easy for him because then he comes in as a cash buyer.
That's amazing.
He doesn't have to show. It's a lot less.
He doesn't have to qualify with the house and everything else. He just has the money.
Right. Makes things far more streamlined. So
that's amazing. Well, thanks for sharing it. So I'm going to include all of your contact information in the video so everybody will be able to see it and they'll be able to access it there. However, before we wrap up, why don't you tell me a little bit about your history? How did you get into this business? I know you're local here in South Florida, and if you wanted to share a little bit about that.
Sure. So I'm actually third generation, so neither one of my parents were in it, but I had my grandfather was one of the original CFPs, one of the original certified financial planners.
Wow.
He had a practice in Boca Raton in the 60s. And so growing up, I thought it was something I wanted to do. When I was in college, I thought maybe I'd go to Wall Street, and that didn't happen. I got recruited by a small firm here in South Florida. And so I've been back. I grew up in Central Florida. I'm a Florida native, but I grew up in Central Florida and moved back here after college 24 years ago. And I've been helping people kind of navigate the questions of how do we retire and how do we pass these assets along for 2.5 decades now. But yeah, I guess my story was I had a grandfather and a few uncles that were in the business, even one of my aunts. And it was always something I think was kind of calling to me. And then when the opportunity presented itself, I jumped on it. And here we are 2 decades later, and it's kind of become my passion. So going back to the question about who are we willing to help, there's certain people that we can make a huge change in their life on. But somebody that might think they don't have enough money or they don't have, they're not a big enough fish for us to be able to help. At that point, it becomes just part of our calling to be able to help them. So I encourage anybody to call and reach out to us, and if we can help you, great. And if not, we'll put you in the right direction.
That's our attitude in real estate.
You leave somebody better off than you found them.
Sure.
And if you're able to help them, fantastic. And if not, at least they walk away with a smile on their face and knowing they're better off than before you met them.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Sean. I appreciate you coming and sharing with us.
I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Sean Moore, Merit Financial Advisors.